We all want to know the secret of success. And if you ask entrepreneurs their secret of success, the most common reply would be never give up. Okay, never give up. This is the crucial characteristic of a leader. Okay, there are 4 crucial characteristics of a leader. This is the iron will. Someone who never gives up is resilient. Today, I want to share my thoughts about building resilience. First of all, what is resilience? My favorite definition comes from Derek Carpenter, who says resilience is the ability to overcome adversity, thrive in the face of challenges, and persist in the long term towards one's goals and values. Now, how do you know you're building resilience in your life? We talk so much about it, but how do you know you're actually building resilience in your life? And I've had opportunity to reflect in the last couple of weeks. In fact, I've been thinking of this topic for 2 weeks already. And I think, you're building it in your life when you observe it over regular activities. People say how you do anything is how you do everything. And as you watch how you go about regular daily activities, you begin to see, hey, actually there are some qualities of resilience. And of course, you know you're building it in your life when depending on your response to unusual situations. Okay, so let me give you just some recent examples. 2 weeks ago, Huiswan and I went for a walk in Venus Drive, and the forecast was not for rain, but it rained while we walked. Okay, and I noticed as reflected as we went back, all we did was just put on our wet weather gear, put on the hat, and we just carried on as if it was normal. There was no thinking of stopping or no complaining or anything. It was just like the rain was just like sun. And then when we stopped, for the first time in a long time, we got attacked by monkeys. Really, we got attacked by monkeys. But the monkeys didn't stop me anyway from carrying on with the picnic. The monkeys come because we're having a picnic, and that day I had bananas, so it's particularly tempting to the monkeys. But we just carried on, and so wild monkeys or not, we're quite resilient. We can just carry on with our picnic. Then Huiswan shared about the climb we had in Mount Ophir. Okay, so it was a very early morning start. To get out to Malaysia, 4:30 a.m. we were picked up. Okay, climb itself was in really rugged conditions, and I accompanied the last person, which is a difficult thing because it's an 11-hour trek. I'm tired. People are tired. They just want to be get down and change straight away. But when you stay back for the last person, it means I extend my time out there for another 2 hours. But I was happy to do that. And then recovery is not just physical recovery; it's mental recovery. That was on Sunday we climbed. On Tuesday we were up doing stairs again. Okay. Now it's a mental resilience to be able to just get up and do what needs to be done. Okay, so I observed, hey, well, we're pretty resilient, under all these conditions. And then, the Mount Ophir climb was training for Mount Ararat in August, and there were internal domestic flight changes. Turkish Airways, there were flight changes and all this, and it was disruptive because when this was the second flight change. With this flight change, the SQ flight reaching Istanbul would actually land after the domestic flight is supposed to take off. But I was calm. We were pretty calm about the whole thing. We just knew it would be handled, and it was subsequently handled. Okay, so these are inconveniences that happen in life, but we notice that we're pretty resilient in how we respond emotionally. And then just last Friday, Jackie and I decided to go to Bukit Timah for training, and it was pouring before we left. But I said I would go, so we left despite the pouring rain. When we got there, So when we got out at 5 a.m., it was raining. When we left home at 6:15 a.m., it was raining heavily. When we arrived, of course, we experienced God's power weather, and it was just a very light drizzle, but the car park was empty. Okay, we just put on our hats and we moved out and we walked. And Jackie commented, on this morning, there's only us and Amor. Okay, there were only us and three other Amor out there, two Chinese, but three Amor. Okay, there was a Chinese couple that they were walking with umbrellas, but that was all. And when I think about this, okay, why Amor? Because Amor always do extreme things. Okay, whereas Asian, they always have excuses. But this is when I reflected on that. This is resilience. The resilience that comes from getting used to training under these kinds of circumstances and pushing the body. So I want to share a bit about how to build resilience. Right? Now we've talked about ready, fire, aim. Okay, ready, fire, aim. So when you normally people will get ready, then they will aim carefully, to ensure that you strike the first time and then you fire. Okay, but when you go ready, fire, aim, you have to reiterate a lot of times because you're not right the first time. So it's a lot of corrections. And I think ready, fire, aim trains resilience because I have to react faster every time I make a correction. So I know it's wrong, I have to quickly change. And I think that builds resilience because resilience is the ability to act when things go wrong. Okay, so when you learn how to react, you practice that. Another way to build resilience is to do more. Okay, when you're asked to do something, do more. Okay, so say, hey, can you do leaders gathering? Yes. Okay, because why do you want to say no? Because it's difficult, inconvenient. No, you want to build resilience. Okay, so for example, just about 3 weeks ago, my brother's former maid Lita asked for help after she had some cancer treatment, and she said, and some of you know Lita. Okay, we met her when we did our leaders retreat in 2019 in the Philippines. Okay, and so she messaged me, Sir James, Ma'am Jackie, good morning. God is great. Yesterday I have my general checkup for throat cancer stage 4. Thank God I am cancer free. But the doctor told me to take my vitamins and medicine till 6 months, but we don't have enough money to buy my medicine. Can I ask some help from you? Thank you, sir. God bless. Now, this is our second request for money since we visited her. And I just simply said yes. If I have less in future, why do we say no to this request? Because we think we may not have enough. But to me, if I have less in the future, I know I can cope with it because I will build resilience. I don't want to say, hey, how am I going to cope with it? No, I will cope with it there and then. So I got Emily, my maid, to do a transfer for me. So it wasn't convenient. It had to be done through wire transfer, Western Union or something like that. But there was not an excuse to say no. Okay. And then before that, New Skin Thailand asked me to share at a TRME BOM. I simply said yes. Despite the very, very tight schedule I have in. Sorry, this is New Skin Thailand, not New Skin Philippines. New Skin Thailand asked me to share a TRME BOM in July. And I said yes, despite a very, very tight schedule in July. Okay, then I discovered after saying yes that it's not a travel to Thailand, but it's by Zoom. But it's when I stretch myself, I've learned how to build resilience. Now I want to share with you some things. Another way to build resilience is to learn from other people. And so as a grandfather, I pray for Isaac daily, okay, my grandson, that he will be resilient. And so I'm learning strategies to build resilience in children. Let's find out from other people. And so I recently read 2 articles on building resilience in children. Let me share this because some of the principles that are shared for children apply to building resilience in myself and in adults. Okay. So let me just read you what this article on building resilience in children, 20 practical strategies by this thing called Hayes-Sigmund. Okay, all children are capable of extraordinary things. The potential for happiness and greatness lies in all of them and will mean different things to different kids. We can't change that they will face challenges along the way. What we can do is to give them the skills so these challenges are never able to break them. We can build their resilience. Resilience is being able to bounce back from stress, challenge, tragedy, trauma, or adversity. When children are resilient, they are braver, more curious, more adaptable, and more able to extend their reach into the world. So we don't want our children to grow up timid. Okay? So the way they become braver is to become more resilient. Can resilience be changed? Yes, 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 absolutely. Resilience can be changed. This is what the article says. One of the most exciting findings in the last decade or so is that we can change the wiring of the brain through the experiences we expose it to. The right experiences can shape the individual intrinsic characteristics of a child in a way that will build their resilience. Building small humans, babies, okay, into healthy, thriving big ones isn't about clearing adversity out of the way. A little bit of stress is life-giving and helps them to develop the skills they need to flourish. And it says, gives 3 tips. Resilience needs relationships, not uncompromising independence. Research tells us it's not rugged self-reliance, determination, or inner strength that leads kids through adversity, but the reliable presence of at least one supportive relationship. A loving relationship with a caring adult gives children the opportunity to develop vital coping skills. The presence of a responsive adult can also help to reverse the physiological changes that are activated by stress. This will ensure that the developing brain, body, and immune system are protected from the damaging effects of these physiological changes. 2, increase the exposure to people who care about them. Social support is associated with higher positive emotions, a sense of personal control and predictability, self-esteem, motivation, optimism, and resilience. Number 3, nurture a growth mindset. We can change and so can other people. Research has found that children who have a growth mindset, the belief that people have the potential to change, are more likely to show resilience when things get tough. Number 4, make time for creativity and play. Problem solving is a creative process. Anything that strengthens their problem solving skills will nurture their resilience. Now, you think about it, that's why the leaders gathering is so important, to bring Isaac there, to bring Arya there over here, because they are exposed to an environment of positive people with a growth mindset who are just extremely encouraging. Okay, so this was the first article. The second article says the same thing. This article is about 3 ways grandparents' connection strengthens resilience. Resilience is nurtured through relationships with others. Grandparents not only provide a family narrative that helps shape their identity, they are often the cheerleaders, encouragers, and #1 fans of grandchildren. Indeed, grandparents connecting with grandchildren provides a key message of loving safety. #1, use affectionate communication. Increase your use of affectionate communication. One of the easiest ways to increase your affectionate communication is to share special sentiments with your grandchildren. Share your caring thoughts and feelings. Here are 3 examples. I'm so grateful to be your grandma. You are such a wonderful grandson. I love being your nana. You can use affectionate communication intentionally in your conversations, letters, or postcards. And you know, we do that in the small groups. We do that when we connect with each other, isn't it? Okay. Rainy day notes, things like that. You know, we are practicing that with each other. We don't have to just, and because we practice with each other, we can practice with our grandchildren. #2, offer stability and certainty. Be the person who provides a sense of stability and certainty. Make your communication a ritual they can rely on each week or each month. It's less about what you send, rather it's more about doing something they can anticipate and rely on. You think about it, what we are doing now with the daily dose, regular basis, it gives the organization, it gives the people a sense of stability and certainty. Okay, the communication becomes a ritual. And 3, of course, reach out to the parents. Reach out to your grandchildren's parents. They also benefit from your loving communication. The tendency can be to focus on the grandchildren, but your adult children still need their parents too. So, as I talk to you, my New Skin partners, I stand with you. I stand honored and grateful to be in a community of leaders who have a remarkable resilience, a resilience that is developed by owning a network marketing business. Each day we thank our sponsor. Each day we thank God for enrolling us through this school of hard knocks that has made us resilient in attitude, resilient in the weather, resilient in our relationships, and resilient in our health. Okay, so my time is up, but I'm going to share with you, for those who want to stay on, just a 1.5 minute video by Jensen Huang. Okay, Jensen Huang is the founder and CEO of NVIDIA. One time the most company with the highest revenue because of AI. Okay, so this is what he says.
I think one of my great advantages is that I have very low expectations. and I mean that. Most of the Stanford graduates have very high expectations. You deserve to have high expectations because you came from a great school. You were very successful. You're top of your class. Obviously, you were able to pay for tuition. And then you're graduating from one of the finest institutions on the planet. You're surrounded by other kids that are just incredible. You naturally have very high expectations. People with very high expectations have very low resilience. And unfortunately, resilience matters in success. I don't know how to teach it to you except for I hope suffering happens to you. And I was fortunate that I grew up with my parents providing a condition for us to be successful on the one hand, but there were plenty of opportunities for setbacks and suffering. And to this day, I use the phrase pain and suffering inside our company with great glee. And I mean that. Boy, this is going to cause a lot of pain and suffering. And I mean that in a happy way, because you want to refine the character of your company. You want greatness out of them. And greatness is not intelligence. Greatness comes from character, and character is informed.
Okay, and character is informed from smart people. Okay, so if you're smart, you will not avoid discomfort. You will appreciate setbacks. Okay, so that's my sharing. I think it's very, very useful for those of us who are grandparents and those of us who have people we are working with, okay? Our godsons, our downlines. Okay, so tomorrow's Tuesday tips is by Hui Xuan. So we look forward to some very practical tips for how we can continue to have success in our business. Okay, bye everyone.